Okay, let's have a look at the Essay2 assignment sheet, people. It says that this will be an expository essay, and the topic is the value of college for the career path. Okay. Minimum length, 1,800 words. Required, as always, you need in-text citations, and you need a works cited page. You need at least 2 of your sources from Academic Search Premier. So you're going to go into the Fresno City College library databases, and there's a link here just for your ease. And you're going to use the video for help to find your sources. Some information, some background. Since the mid-20th century, the mid-20th century is like late 1940s through 60s, 70s, into maybe early 80s, whatever. Since that time, higher education has been the route for low income and people of color to grow personally and professionally and to enjoy the rise in socioeconomic status. We will be reading and watching videos on several different subjects that relate to this topic. You are encouraged to brainstorm on each of these materials, to ask yourself questions about each of these topics, and to begin research to find answers to your research questions. What kinds of questions? Well, there are a million of them, aren't there? Community college students, as you are. Lots of people who are community college students are low income and people of color. What are your concerns? As a community college student? What are your expectations? What are you worried about? What do you think is fairly done? What do you think is not fairly done? And of course, most importantly, what do you think college is for? Research that. Find out. Why have our founding fathers and most of the presidents, at least through the 1950s, said that the purpose of university is to educate people to run a democracy? If you look at the website for Penn State, it's all about Ben Franklin and what he had to say about why Americans need to be educated so that they can run a country that is equitable and fair. Have you been told that the whole purpose of a college education is just to double your annual income, which of course it will do, and probably more depending on your major and what you do with yourself afterwards, more on what you do with yourself necessarily than your major. It's also been argued, however, that in the American system, if you don't make lots of money, you can't represent yourself. You don't have the resources. So, is it a democracy if people don't have equal resources? So this thing about access to college, the ability to succeed in college, preparing for college in high school, did you do it, did you not, why or why not? These are important things. They have an awful lot to do with what our country can become. Okay, your thesis for this essay must be an argument that is very tightly narrowed from this larger point. Why? Because if your whole paper is about the value of college for the career path, that could fill your home library and then some. You can't talk about absolutely everything. You have to pick some narrow point. And if you look at higher education and the opportunity gap, there's a lot of different kinds of points that are brought up just in that article alone that you could consider. Your primary job in this essay is to be original and to present your own perspective. We are not interested, underline, 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 in a report of the various things that you read. If I want to read them, I'll go read them myself. Why am I having you write? Because I need to know what is going on in your brain as you deal with this material. I need to see you doing high-quality research. I need to see you doing high-quality reasoning with that research. So, original, yes, not regurgitated information. At least not that alone. As you do so, you should reference and consider sources that are currently debating your issue. Your Essay2 will put your sources into a conversation, which is what we are talking about this week, putting sources into conversation about a topic that you can also join because of your education experiences. Your education experiences. What did you go through in high school? What are you going through now? What do you expect to go through if you plan to transfer? Are you planning to transfer? If not, why not? Put you in your paper. And also how your expectations for a high school or college education may be changing. Now that you're doing this research, Are you finding new and interesting things? You should tell us about that. It is essential that your expository essay follow the advice below, so study it carefully, make sure you understand all of it. There's an excerpt here from Owl at Purdue to tell you how to make sure you do your formatting and so forth correctly. What is an expository essay? The expository essay is a genre of essay that requires the student to investigate an idea, evaluate evidence, expound on the idea. So, lots of your brain doing work and representing it in your essay, and set forth an argument concerning that idea in a clear and concise manner. This can be accomplished through comparison and contrast, which we've been practicing with already. Definition is a terrific way to argue, and you should use it. Use examples, of course, and cause-effect analysis. That's kind of going to be necessary for this. You need to be thinking about how does the system currently work and what is the effect of that? That sort of thing. The structure of the expository essay is held together by the following: a clear and concise and defined thesis statement that occurs in the first paragraph in the essay. In other words, distill your whole argument into one sharp sentence and put that sentence at the end of your introduction paragraph. The rest of the paper should provide the subclaims, evidence, and reasoning that support that one sentence. It is essential that the thesis statement be appropriately narrowed to follow the guidelines set forth in the assignment. If the student does not master this portion of the essay, it will be quite difficult to compose an effective and persuasive essay. What does this mean? If you have a fantastic thesis statement and an okay essay, you'll probably still get a B out of it, generally speaking, unless you've made some kind of grave error. Now, on the other hand, let's say you have an awful thesis statement, but the rest of the paper is pretty good. There's no way to pass with an awful thesis statement. The thesis statement, that's the kernel of the whole idea. So it has to be strong, and it has to be proven in the essay. It has to be investigated. Different points of view need to be taken into consideration and so forth. But that thesis, it's got to be very, very solid. You need clear and logical transitions between the introduction, body, and conclusion. Transitions are the mortar that holds the foundation of the essay together. See in They Say, I Say, pages 108 through 110, and Owl at Purdue here, so there's another link. Without logical progression of thought, the reader is unable to follow the essay's argument, and the structure will collapse. So, we need good things here. Strong body paragraphs, good evidence, creativity. Remember that though you may not be crafting the next great novel, you are attempting to leave a lasting impression on the people evaluating your essay. So, don't say what everybody else says. Be original. A conclusion that does not simply restate the thesis, but readdresses it in the light of the evidence provided. Do not introduce any new information in the conclusion. Rather, synthesize and come to a conclusion concerning the information presented in the body. That is, an effective conclusion is often quite short, 3 sentences. Seriously. It usually restates the thesis, but in different words, and then follows that with an emphasis on what is the greater importance of this issue. Why are you talking about this? Why is it important to you, and why should it be important to everyone? You need a complete argument. Perhaps it is helpful to think of an essay in terms of a conversation or a debate with a classmate. If I were to discuss the cause of the Great Depression and its current effect on those who lived through the tumultuous time, there would be a beginning, a middle, and an end to the conversation. In fact, if I were to end the exposition in the middle of my second point, questions would arise. So, essays need to have a feeling of completeness. Required research, you need, again, to visit stasis theory. Use that page on the Owl at Purdue to help you develop your own research questions. Insert terms for your topic in those questions. And issues wherever it says something or it, put in your topic. Find the most reliable places to look for answers. So, perhaps you have been told that you should never use Google and never use Wikipedia. Well, you should never use them badly, and you should never stop with them. But if you're investigating something that you know almost nothing about, a few minutes in Google and Wikipedia can give you a whole bunch of information really, really fast. Maybe it's true and maybe it's not. Maybe it's well argued and maybe it's not. Maybe it's told to you by experts and maybe it's not. But you start there. And then you gather your search terms from those places And then you start hitting the hard evidence, looking for the good research. Gather much information quickly, learn the history, learn what is at issue, learn who takes what stand and why, learn terms. Once you have a bunch of good search terms, go into heavy research mode. You need to know what is thought about this topic by a wide range of educated people. Get at least 2 scholarly articles on the same topic from the databases. So, can you substitute something you find in Google? No, it says that they need to be from the Fresno City College article databases. Will they be difficult to find? Of course, it's not Google. You can ask Google practically to pick your nose these days and it will do it. Fresno City College article databases, like all of the scholarly article databases, require knowledge and understanding, and that is why I'm having you practice using the Fresno City College article databases. That is part of the assignment, so I need to see that you have used them. You need at least 2 opinion pieces. They need to be from major sources, national, widely read by educated people sources. Opinion pieces may be called editorials, they may be called op-eds, they may be called opinion pieces, but they are all opinion pieces. Best sources to look into: the New York Times, Los Angeles Times, Chicago Tribune. These are widely read, this list here, widely read national newspapers and magazines. So you gotta go from these. The Fresno Bee will not do. Okay. You need to interview someone who is further along in your major, or interview someone who works in your field about how college coursework is benefiting this person. So you want to find someone who has a good understanding of what their college experience was like and how they were able to apply their college experience. So it could be maybe somebody who's studying at Fresno State or one of the other universities about town, or someone who is in your major at Fresno City but is further along than you, getting ready to transfer. And it could also be someone who works in your field. I say this because very many times college students are working in hospitals as orderlies or CNAs, and they want to be RNs, for example, and they have easy access to RNs right there where they work. And if this is the case for you, maybe not necessarily a hospital, but you're working in your field and you can talk to someone further along, then use that person. But again, it has to be someone who can tell you useful things about how college coursework benefits them. If they don't have much to say about that, keep looking for other people. Okay, you need 2 web pages from the U.S. government agencies on student success, success of low-income and minority students, and how education leads to careers. So, the .govs, and there's going to be a lot of them, any kind of research that has been done on employment, any kind of research that has been done on university statistical data, articles, that sort of thing, but you need a couple of .govs. Okay, you are going to need to study all the sources, you need to find where the sources agree and where they disagree. And by the way, you're not going to pick a side and then shut out the other side. You're going to have a much more interesting, much richer paper, a paper that demonstrates your reasoning, if you can bring in sources that disagree at least on some aspect, maybe just the cause of the problem, so that you can enter that conversation and so that you can discuss how well your sources are arguing their points, what you find believable on the basis of reasoning. Okay. You need to work to determine which sources are the most reliable, and you need to make a strong claim on a narrow topic that you concluded because you studied your research, not because you've decided at the outset this is right or this is wrong, and you have cherry-picked sources that only say what you want. That's not college work, okay? You need to demonstrate your thought process, and you need to demonstrate that you can weigh, that you can evaluate pieces of evidence and the quality of your sources. Demonstrate your reasoning through your sources as you put them into a conversation with one another. All right, and do beautiful work. Good luck.